Why?
What?
Adopted fatty, no parent.
Mortal Kombat 11 is filled with retcons, which is odd since this game was meant to be the end of the trilogy, and yet even so, the writers made a bunch of retcons. Kotal Kahn was made into Jade's sugar daddy, Skarlet became a random orphan on the street, and then, most horrendous of all, Sindel was transformed into the most hated character in the NetherRealm series, if not all of Mortal Kombat history, which is very depressing, so how about something awesome? Looking for cheap software like Windows 11 for less than $3? Well, Royal CD Keys has you covered. Their website has tons of discounts on software and video games, including Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. After using my discount code, you can purchase it for under $15. And you can also get newer releases like Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy for less than $35 and the Deluxe Edition for less than $42 using my code. As you can see, their website is amazing, and make sure to use my promo code below to get a 10% discount on your purchase. Or you can also use the QR code on screen. Every purchase that you make also supports my channel directly, so not only are you getting games and programs for an amazing discount, but you're also helping out the channel. Purchasing software and games is fast, easy, and safe with Royal CD Keys, and I can't recommend them enough. So without any further ado, let's discuss the most hated changes NetherRealm has ever made. Now I want to start off by saying I don't hate the NetherRealm story modes. I find them entertaining for the most part. Do they have a bunch of plot holes? Absolutely, but overall I still find them to be a pretty okay experience. However, even so, the writing is filled with very strange decisions, the main ones being the weird retcons. It's almost like someone took my favorite dish at a restaurant and then just added unnecessary ingredients to it. And even though the food is still edible overall and still tastes kinda good, I feel like it was better before. Now keep in mind, I'm only discussing the changes that NetherRealm made to their own story, not the retcons to past Mortal Kombat games, because MK9 is technically a reboot. So for example, originally it was Shang Tsung who resurrected Sindel, but in the new timeline it was Quan Chi. Do I think that change was needed? Absolutely not. But even so, I'm not critiquing it in this video. These changes are only about what NetherRealm did to their own existing story. So with that in mind, let's start small and then work our way up, beginning with Skarlet. She has a change that I don't think was needed at all. In Mortal Kombat 11, it's revealed that Skarlet was originally a street orphan who Shao Kahn adopted for whatever reason. And then as she got older, he taught her how to wield blood magic and pretty much turned her into a blood witch, or a blood sorcerer if you will. And if Mortal Kombat 11 is your very first game, then this helps to explain why she can do all the crazy blood shenanigans. However, if you played her in Mortal Kombat 9 when she first debuted, then you'd be very confused at this change because once again, it was very unnecessary. Skarlet first became playable as a DLC character in Mortal Kombat 9, and in her story trailer, it's revealed that she was created by Shao Kahn by collecting the blood from fallen foes. So put simply, Skarlet was never human or Edenian or from Outworld. She was never born. She was created just like Ermac. However, instead of being comprised of souls, she is made up of blood. And despite being made by Shao Kahn, he is clearly a bit scared of her because he never lets her out of her chains until she needs to do something, and that's because of how her powers work. You see, the more blood that Skarlet collects while she fights, the more powerful she becomes. So in theory, you could let her loose in the middle of a war and she would kill everybody and become almost unstoppable. So with all that in mind, it's pretty easy to understand why Shao Kahn is scared of his own creation. This character, if left unchecked, could become god tier very quickly. And this origin for Skarlet is kept intact in the Mortal Kombat X comics. Even though she is never playable in Mortal Kombat X, she does play a very big role in the comics. She even gets an awesome new outfit, which would later be DLC in Mortal Kombat 11, which is even more confusing because once again, she has changed completely in Mortal Kombat 11, but she still has the outfit from Mortal Kombat X. Now I understand it's likely just meant to be a reference to the Mortal Kombat X comics, and don't get me wrong, I love that it's in the game. It's one of my favorite outfits to wear when I play Skarlet. However, what I don't understand is why NetherRealm changed her story at all. I thought it worked just fine and made her a very scary threat. So let me go ahead and play devil's advocate real quick and try to get inside the head of the NetherRealm writers for Mortal Kombat 11. Maybe the idea was to nerf Skarlet because otherwise she would be way too powerful. As we all know, most villains' job in the story mode is to lose to the heroes, to be absolute jobbers and get their cheeks clapped every time you fight them. And unfortunately for Skarlet, she is on the bad guys team, which means she is doomed to lose over and over again, and maybe that wouldn't be convincing enough if she still had the powers of MK9. She'd be way too strong. And then on top of that, maybe the writers wanted Shao Kahn to appear more sympathetic because he adopted a child off the streets, a literal orphan, and took her into his kingdom. However, unfortunately, we only get the one scene, and even Skarlet's own ending makes it seem like she despises Shao Kahn despite him taking her off the streets. And as a result, their relationship doesn't make sense and the retcon seems that much more unnecessary. So next up, let's talk about Jade and Kotal Kahn, the lovebirds that never were, but the writers made it happen anyway. Kotal Kahn's origin is fully explained in Mortal Kombat X, and nowhere in any of those pages does he ever mention any kind of relationship with Jade. And as a result, when players saw this, we were very confused. Now once again, I'm gonna try and get inside the writer's head, and here I think their reasoning is much easier to guess. My theory is the writers wanted Jade to have her own side story separate from everybody else's, and a really easy way to do that is to give her a romance. However, they didn't want to make a whole new character. That would require way too much effort, more character models, rigs, animations, all that annoying stuff, so just use an existing character. And who do we have that's available? Yeah, pretty much Kotal Kahn, and that's it. And believe it or not, Kotal Kahn's backstory is retconned as well. Now apparently he was imprisoned by Shang Tsung in the flesh pits. However, in the Mortal Kombat X comics, that is never mentioned, and I think certain things in the comics actively contradict this. And unfortunately, the writer did confirm that the Mortal Kombat X comics are not always canon, and they never specified what is canon and is not canon, so we never know as the viewer what's true and what's not true, which is very, very frustrating for anybody who wants to make sense of this new timeline, and especially people who adore lore and just love to research everything they can about the games they love and their plot lines. Those people do exist, make no mistake, they're out there trying to learn everything they can about the new Mortal Kombat series, and now they have no clue what to believe in. But yeah, my main point is Jade was not the only one to get a retcon, so did Kotal Kahn, just to make their relationship happen. And I do believe, once again, it was to give Jade her own plot where she could have some agency. Because even though Jade is Twitter-pated with Kotal Kahn, she goes against him actively whenever he does something stupid or hateful. Do not forget, Kotal Kahn was casually about to commit genocide, and it's not the first time he's done it. Even though he does have his own chapter in Mortal Kombat 11, I'm still convinced he exists solely to give Jade her own plot that's something other than saving Katana, because that's pretty much all she does in the past games. So I think this time I understand the writer's reasoning, but if I'm being honest, I don't think they needed the romance between the two. All they needed to do was have Jade step in and stop Kotal Kahn from committing genocide, just have them be partners. Or actually, instead of having Jade and Kotal Kahn be in love off screen before we even knew about it, just have them fall in love over the course of the story mode. That would be way more interesting and be a better payoff too. However, hindsight is 2020. I'm not saying I'm a better writer than NetherRealm's writers, not at all. It is much easier to make changes to an existing story than to make a good story from scratch. And hey, one more retcon just came to me. I think in Mortal Kombat 11, Erron Black is just a regular cowboy from Texas. I could be wrong, but the game never states that he's immortal anymore, I don't think. And once again, if you only played Mortal Kombat 11, then you would think that Erron Black is just a gunslinging cowboy. However, in Mortal Kombat X, it's revealed that Erron Black actually can't die from aging. He lives forever unless you kill him. And once again, I could be wrong, but I think it even states that he's been around since the Old West, and at some point since then, he moved to Outworld. However, once again, I don't think Mortal Kombat 11 states this anywhere, and I think that's because the writers had this weird desire to make every character in MK11 very straightforward and remove a lot of the nuance. In fact, Cabal is the best example for this that I can think of, and I just thought about him. I'm so happy about that because he is not in my notes, but Cabal is done very dirty in Mortal Kombat 11. Because originally, Cabal is actually a cop trying to do the right thing. He suffers a horrible accident that then makes him deformed, but he's still a good guy at heart, and it's later revealed that he was once a member of the Black Dragon, which is a very big underground crime gang run by Kano, though I'm not sure if it was when Cabal was with them, but the point is it's a very bad group of people, and at one point he worked with them, but he left. And after that, he became a cop, and then he got really badly injured and got his cool gear, and that's actually what gave him the super speed. However, in Mortal Kombat 11, he already has the super speed, like he's an X-Men with mutant powers, and I don't hate that idea. That part's completely fine to me. However, they completely dropped his redemption. He starts off a villain and then stays a villain the entire time in Mortal Kombat 11. That to me is unforgivable. It's just my personal opinion, but I don't get why they did that except to make every character simple and easier to understand, removing all of the nuance. And if Mortal Kombat 11 was for kids, then I would understand that change because kids shows need to be simple and easy to understand, but the Mortal Kombat series is for adults 18 and older, and as a result the stories can be way more complicated and in-depth and nuanced because that's the kind of stories that adults like. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time for the most hated change in NetherRealm history, if not all of Mortal Kombat history. In fact, this retcon is so infamous that I bet all of you watching already know what I'm talking about. The nearly universally hated Sindel retcon. What makes this change so tragic is that players love Sindel. She is adored by her fan base. However, unfortunately, her intro dialogues got leaked long before she ever became playable, and we saw what she she was saying in these intro dialogues, and it didn't make sense at all with her character. So at first we had the denial phase. Everybody said, oh, it's not her, it's the Revenant form, that's why she's saying that, or no, it's not her, she's under mind control, she's been brainwashed, she doesn't know what actually happened. And unfortunately, all of those theories were wrong, because in Mortal Kombat 11, NetherRealm made the decision to change everything about Sindel and her backstory. And that's a real shame, because Sindel might be one of the most complex and nuanced characters in Mortal Kombat lore. In the original timeline, Sindel was the happy queen of Edenia until Shao Kahn ruined everything. He killed Gerard, he merged the realms, and he took over Edenia. And all of those things combined was too much for Sindel to handle, and so she took her own life. But it wasn't entirely selfish, because Sindel's suicide was also a magic spell that made it impossible for Shao Kahn to invade Earthrealm, which meant he had to use the Mortal Kombat tournaments if he ever wanted to merge with Earthrealm. However, unfortunately for Sindel, Kitana was very young when she committed suicide, and that allowed Shao Kahn to lie to Kitana about absolutely everything. And that's why Kitana believes that Shao Kahn is her father and not Gerard. She has no idea who that is. And then to make matters worse, in MK3, Shao Kahn uses Shang Tsung to resurrect Sindel, and that undoes the magic spell protecting Earthrealm. And then to make matters worse, he brainwashes Sindel. That way she knows nothing about her suicide or losing her husband, none of that stuff. She is now devoted to Shao Kahn and believes that he's her husband. And that's a very big problem, because as it turns out, Sindel is very powerful, even for an Edenian. Most Edenians need weapons to use magic, not Sindel. She can levitate, she can fire beams of energy from her mouth, and then her scream alone is enough to tear the skin from your body. So Sindel is very, very powerful, and now she's on Shao Kahn's side. However, thankfully Shao Kahn loses, and then Kitana is able to convince Sindel that she has been lied to and manipulated, and I think she even awakens her past memories, so she learns the truth. And then in the 3D era, things get even better for Sindel, because she gets to redeem herself completely, saving her own daughter, so the whole thing comes full circle. Even though Sindel's suicide did protect Earthrealm, she always felt guilty about it because she left Kitana behind, and she wishes she was stronger to just deal with everything, but she couldn't do it. So when she finally gets to save Kitana later on, she no longer feels that guilt, or at the very least the burden has been lightened a little bit. But then in Mortal Kombat 11, the plot just spreads its cheeks and takes a big dump over Sindel's entire character and backstory. She is no longer a victim who found the strength to redeem herself. Instead, she was the one behind everything. She's the one who killed Gerard. Why? Because Shao Kahn is stronger and therefore hotter. In fact, Sindel is so turned on by Shao Kahn that she will even beat up her own daughter. Yeah, her own flesh and blood, that is less to her than Shao Kahn. Once again, I think the writers just wanted to simplify everything. So instead of having Sindel be this awesome, complex, and nuanced character, they simplified her as much as possible and just made her evil. But at any rate, that's about it for my rant. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below. It really does help my channel out a ton, and I'm losing my voice right now from all the ranting. So why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell? That way you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.